of Bhagavad Gita. So it has got double meaning here. Swadhyaya of Bhagavad Gita meaning that you have to study it by yourself. The second meaning of it is study Bhagavad Gita so that you can understand. Adhyaya, Adhyayana means to understand. To understand the self that you are better. So Bhagavad Gita Kinchid Adhita. So constantly one must be studying Bhagavad Gita. So just I think today we were sitting and talking and really time flies by. It's just today that I realized that I have been coming here for past 8 years. 7? Okay, 7.5. 7.5, 8 years we have been meeting. And the proof, at least in the pages, because the rest of the proof is in your own self as to how much it has really helped. And your constant attendance shows that probably it is helping. That long time ago we started with the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and now we are at a very important crossroad. It is the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is usually divided into 3 segments, 3 equal segments. First chapter through the 6th chapter, 7th through the 12th, then the 13th through the 18th. So they are called the 3 segments. The first segment talks essentially about the Tvam Pada meaning. It talks about where we are and how do we understand ourselves. The next set of 6 chapters, which is the culmination in this 12th chapter, talks about God and the need of God. And the last segment talks about the essential reality that we are, and it is very essential to understand how we define that God. If it is a God that has some kind of a vengeance, because people think, whenever I am sitting across in a counseling session and people come to ask different questions, direction, they say, why did God do this to me? Why is He punishing me? I feel that they have a picture of God like somebody in Chuck E. Cheese. Have you been to Chuck E. Cheese? Okay, good. There is one particular thing there where there is that whale or the fish that pops up. Whatever that pops up. So there they give you a hammer and you hammer them down. Whack-a-mole, right. So they have a picture of God in that idea or attitude. There is some vengeance-seeking, supreme all-power, who when he gets a little tired of his boredom, picks one of us and keeps giving us one after the other troubles. And that's how we portray. Why is God doing this to me? If God were to be defined as some vengeance-seeking monster up there, then I would be the first one to reject that religion. Not just God, anything to profess with that kind of God system. If it were a God system wherein the people talk about with such fear that probably I have not been worshipping every day I used to worship, and for the past 3 years I have not worshipped. That is why my luck has turned really sour. That everything that I do is going south. Well, I come from south. But it's a point of reference. So because I do certain favors to God, God takes care of me. God is not sitting there as a businessman. That He has a barter system. That you do a certain thing and hence therefore He will shower little favors to all of us. That would be a wrong understanding about God. Who is this God and how do we relate to this God? It was a very interesting discussion that we started on Sunday itself, which was yesterday. No, I'm not talking about the Giants versus the Patriots. Afternoon Balavihar session, we had a discussion on who could that God be. From the most essential standpoint, God is defined as Paramatma. We come across that word quite frequently. Paramatma has got two aspects in that word, Param and Atma. But the way we have been conditioned or trained, that the moment we say Paramatma, we look heavenwardly. That is how we have been conditioned, that Paramatma is somewhere up there, far above from our reach. And growing up as a child, I always had figured that these gods are really terrible people because they want us to come to their place and worship them, but they are always in their inaccessible corners of the world. Have you seen Tirupati? Balaji? Where is he sitting? You have to. Nowadays, you have these vehicles, so you can get dropped off directly in front of the temple. I'm talking about 25 years ago, the first time 25, 30 years ago when I had gone there, I had to climb those big steps and reach. Then why in heaven would he sit there? Can't he be more accessible down here? Have you been to Vaishnav Devi? Anybody? Okay. In the earlier days, there was this cave that you had to enter after walking through for 15 kilometers at a height of 9 to 10,000 feet, and then reach inside the cave. You don't know where that cave will take you, and suddenly you will be in waters almost till your neck. Now they have changed it. There is a big tunnel that is dug open that you can go in and out quickly. So I used to wonder, why do gods have to choose such God-forsaken places? No, I cannot say that either. Because gods have chosen those places. They are not forsaken. So if it is a system that, you talk about this God as somebody staying up there. But the word itself is so beautifully described. Param Atma. Atma translates to be as self. Param, supreme self. And what are we as at the individual levels called? We are called Jivatma. Paramatma, supreme, Bada Atma. Jivatma, Chota Atma, small Atma. Now what is the difference between this Paramatma and the Jivatma? The one who knows the essential reality from its basic standpoint, essential standpoint, is Paramatma. The one who gets mistakenly identified with various unnecessary things is called Jivatma. Now you are all paying keen attention as if this was a new concept introduced. No, this was introduced in the 9th chapter. I am just revisiting that concept. Everybody is like, okay, this is actually a totally new concept. We thought 12th chapter was a very small chapter, 20 shlokas, it will be done. This seems to be such a new concept. Boy, no, this was already introduced in the 9th chapter. I am just revisiting it so that we can continue to the 12th chapter. Remember in the 9th chapter, in the very beginning itself, he says that I am in this world as the extension of the world. But the worldliness is not in me. Vaguely, do you remember? Okay. Because the plight of a teacher is that when you are revisiting something which has been taught probably 2-3 years ago, it's difficult. Believe me, it is in 9th chapter. So when he says that, I support the world, I expand and extend myself as the expression of the world, but the worldliness is not in me. The example that we had taken as a very physical example to understand is electricity. You can hear me clearly? It is because I am speaking into this device, which is connected to that device, which is further connected to the speaker. So what does this entire system do? It amplifies my sound. But when you place the mic in front of me, do you think it will start amplifying? No. The entire system has to be enlivened as if, touched by, graced by a power called electricity. That is when you hear my voice through this system loudly. If what I speak makes sense, then it is sound. What you get through the PA system, if it makes sense, it is sound. If it does not make sense, then it is noise. That's why they have these, when you can't hear the outside sound, they're called noise cancellation. They don't say sound cancellation. When do you want it to be cancelled? When it is noise. So it helps to amplify the sounds produced because of the presence of electricity. Can you see me? Good. Why good? Because you're still awake. One of the benefits of satsang that you can sleep well. So you can see me, I can see you. You can see the three, on the altar, 3 photographs on the altar. A flower was with flowers. Right? We see it under the light of these light-giving devices. Because they have been touched by the same power called electricity. Does anybody feel cold here? Not exactly. If you're feeling cold, run outside without your sweater or shawl. Stay there 2 minutes, come back inside, you'll feel like being in heaven. If the air here is conditioned, it is also because of electricity. So when you hear these many different things, that it is because of electricity there is light, it is because of electricity that you can hear the sound, it is because of electricity that you feel comfortable in this room with this temperature. Electricity no doubt supports all these. But can the electricity be defined as sound, light or temperature modulation? No. Electricity is neither one of it, but it supports all of them, because of whose presence all these express. But that which is expressing is not the nature of electricity. Give me a nod if you have understood this much. Good. Because this is the basis. If this is not understood, the foundation is not grasped, moving forward, everything will be confusion. So when the Lord says, I am the extension and support of the entire universe, but the worldliness is not in me. He supports the entire world. He expresses as the entire world himself. But what is not in him? The worldliness. Where does the worldliness begin? The worldliness begins when we start identifying ourselves with our impressions of likes and dislikes. because of these shades of likes and dislikes, the same world when we view, 10-15 of us going and viewing the same thing, each one has a different impression. Each one has a different way of understanding it. And we interpret the world accordingly. So let me ask you a simple question. Is a gun a good thing or a bad thing?
Depends.
Can you see the understanding? The common answer, if I am not wrong, which I got was, it depends. Did I ask about the utility of the gun? No. I just asked, is gun good or bad? It is neither good nor bad. The goodness and badness comes into picture only with the intention of the person who is using it. Essentially, it is neither good nor bad. It's just a very simple example that I have taken. A knife, is it good or bad? Thank you for checking this. It was a test. You passed. You cannot say it depends. It is neither good nor bad. If it is a crawling child who doesn't even know what a knife is, but the only thing that the child knows is whenever there is shining thing, the first thing that they have to know the entire world with is with their, whether it is your iPhone or tablet or earlier days these words had different meanings. Tablet meant something that you take when you are sick. Chips meant something that you enjoy to eat. All these words are getting too confusingly different. But anyway, you understood the meaning, right? The child, everything has to be known through the mouth. So for that child, because does not know what the impact would be, the knife can be dangerous. But in a very skillful cook's, a chef's hand, your mother's hand. Because when you say wife's hand, then I don't know. So let me take a safe bet. Mother's hand. Tell me, the mother sitting here, however good you cook, don't the husbands always compare? My mom used to do a better job. Right? So I'm just taking it as a safer bet. That when it is in your mother's hand and it is a great cook, the same knife can be a great device. A good doctor's hand, it's a great device. So essentially the world is neither good nor bad. Where does this goodness and badness come into picture? Because of our personal likes and dislikes. And because of these layers and layers of likes and dislikes, the way we perceive the world outside, I have certain patterns of likes and dislikes. The world around me also has certain patterns of likes and dislikes. And when we look at matching, how much of our likes and dislikes match? And that is where we try to maintain a certain synchronized beauty around us. All that I like, everybody has to like. And because of these strong likes and dislikes, they trigger out an individuality, which is tailor-made, different. That there are 6 or how many are we now? 7 billion population? Okay. 7 billion population, each individual is unique because of these impressions. And because of these impressions and the likes and dislikes, our identification and attachment to various things that we like and the attachment to various things that we dislike. You may have heard about being attached to things that you like, but we are equally attached to those things that we dislike. See, as much as Yashoda was attached to Krishna, makes sense. Kamsa was also attached to Krishna because of his dislike. See, in sense of liking, you're attached, you're constantly thinking about it. When you dislike something, you're constantly again thinking about it. There is that sense of attachment that is developed. And because of this attachment, we give standpoint of validity to various things at various levels of body, mind and intellect and their interactions. And we create a world, a cocoon of world around us, giving its stability and giving its security, that anything happening to this cocooned world, my fears, my fearlessness, everything is born out of that security or insecurity of that little world that I create around myself. Now from this state of attachment, in the 10th and 11th chapter, Bhagavan has given very beautifully as to how do I identify the world around me. Because the world around me is neither good nor bad. The goodness and badness is the shades with which I am looking at it. It is essentially divine. The entire creation is nothing but divine. One example that I often keep quoting is the one who can see the divinity in and through everything around is called Prahlada. That is why his name also is so beautiful. Ahlada means to be happy. Prahlada meaning the one who is constantly in the state of happiness in spite of various situations around him. Whatever be the conditionings outside, he is in constant state of bliss. Prahlada. Why? Because his vision is of the divine nature. The one who can see divinity in and through everything around him. He is called Prahlada. And the one who refuses to see divinity is called Hiranyakashipu. My simple objection, okay, don't take it personally. Do we see divinity around? Yes or no?
No.
So you decide where we are. In the 10th chapter, Bhagavan proves to say that how in this expansion you can find that divine. In the 11th chapter, he talks about the Vibhuti Yoga, wherein the entire aspect of him expanding to become this world. From multitude to one point, from one point to multitude. He has shown us the entire spectrum as to how this entire universe is nothing but that divine alone. That is why when Bhishma was asked by Yudhishthira to talk about this great Narayana, he said, I'll teach you in 1,000 words. It is called today as Vishnu Sahasranama. And what was the first name to describe that divine? In that Vishnu Sahasranama, it is not Vishnu. It is not Narayana. The first word that he chooses to pick to describe that divine, he calls him as Vishwam. Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Meaning the entire creation is nothing but the splendor, is nothing but the divine's expansion into this grand universe. Vishwam. Now if every aspect of this creation is nothing but that divine alone, how do I tune myself to that aspect of divinity? Is there a method that I can tune? So we had seen this example also. I had asked this question earlier, right, sitting here. in the 11th chapter. So don't give me that, oh,